Well, last week we talked about reverse painting, and I've had a few questions since then about what color should you reverse paint and how do you determine. The most accurate way of determining that is to turn the pen without the brass tube in it, and then after you're finished you have the ability to decide what color you'd like to use. So today we're going to cover a couple of different ways of turning the blank without using the brass tubes. The first method I'm using is turning between centers. You've read a lot about that, seen it on the forums. There are several methods that you can use to turn between centers. The method that I'm using in this one is a dead center in the headstock and a live center in the tailstock. Both of them are 60-degree centers. Now what that means is that the dead center does not move relative to the headstock. In other words, it's stuck in the headstock, and when the headstock motor moves, so does the blank. That's where your drive comes from. The other one in the tailstock is just freewheeling so that it keeps the blank centered properly. So that's what we're doing here, is just driving it and turning, and there is not a lot of pressure on that blank. You try not to put too much pressure on it because you can distort the blank as it gets closer to the finished size, because of course the plastic is able to be bent or broken. So that's the basics of it, and we'll move on from there. I'm making a Sierra pen, so I know that I want my outside diameter to be 0.47 inches. So I'm now checking to see, I don't want it to get thinner than that, but I don't want it to be quite that thin either. I probably want to hit it right around half an inch. 0.47 plus 3 is half an inch, and that's close enough for government work. So that's where I'm headed with this, and we just take it down. Again, take it down very gently, because you realize that there's nothing supporting that blank. If you take a good hard cut in there, you're going to peel that back just like it's a banana. There's not much there that you're fighting, and it will break easily. There are several things that I want to cover in this topic. As you can see, this particular one we are turning between centers. That's one possibility. Another possibility is to make your own bushings and then turn it either between centers with the bushings or turn it on a mandrel with the bushings. So those are the things that I want to cover, and I don't want this to turn into a long movie. So we'll see how it turns out, but that's the plan, and we'll see if it turns into one or two videos, but we will eventually show you how to do this with or without bushings. And we'll explain a little bit about this. Should start right away. The advantage or disadvantage of doing it the way that I'm doing it here. When you are putting pressure on that blank in order to drive it, you're going to have the possibility of distorting the ends of the blank. The thinner it gets, the more probability you have that you'll distort the ends of it. You also have nothing supporting it. So when you look at it from a point of view of what happens if there's a little chatter, chances are very good that you'll break it if there's a little chatter and you're down to the end points. So you can see it's gotten pretty close to the dimension that I want it to be, and so that's as far as this one's going to be turned down. Here you can see the white going in and out of the blank. It shows you a little bit about what the color will look like when you're trying to put a tube in it. Now this is not turned to final size. I'm also including this part of the video for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want to stress safety. And there are a couple of things that I did here that were not too bright. You get used to working on the lathe, and before you know it, you're not thinking while you're doing it. First, I switched the lathe off and grabbed the handle so that I could stop the head. And as you could see, the scroll chuck started to spin off. So Fortunately, it didn't go too far, but remember, when you're working with this, it has a certain amount of momentum, and if you grab that hand wheel to stop the momentum, or to stop the free spinning, you run the risk of parts flying off and hitting you. I was actually hit with a chuck this weekend, so I started to think about some of this stuff again. You'll see that I'm using my hand to hold that Jacobs chuck as I back away from the scroll chuck. The reason for that is also, when you're going in, you're putting pressure against that chuck and into your tailstock. Everything's basically forcing all the elements together. When you come out of that with the drill bit, that's when I got hurt. The drill bit stayed in the piece that I was turning and came out of the tailstock. When that happened and it's still spinning, you recognize that you have the possibility of the chuck staying in the blank, and as it continues to spin, it will fall free, but my hand was right on the rail where it got hit, and it was not comfortable. So thought I'd add these couple of things to this video just to remind you to be safe. No matter how comfortable you get with these tools, remember that they do have the propensity to, or the ability to, hurt you if you're not paying attention while you're working with them. So we're going to end this video here. There will be two. This is the first of turning without a tube, and there will be another one for turning without a tube that will come out later, hopefully yet this weekend. But this is Ed with Exotic Blanks, thanking you for watching. We look forward to seeing you at the next video. Bye now.